All right. Welcome to the For the Lag of God chats. And today's chat is with Trevor Henderson, a public speaker and coach with his platform, The Rise of the Dyslexic Speaker. With this chat, I hope that we can give you a more positive understanding of dyslexia and hopefully change many views that you may have towards this. So, yeah, let's get into it. If you could... So as I said, you're with the Rise of the Dyslexic Speaker, and you're a speaker and coach with the Rise of the Dyslexic Speaker. So could you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Public speaking has been traditionally gets coached as you need to form a concept that you're going to talk about. Then you need to write that out.
Yeah.
You need to write it and rewrite it until you get it right. And then you need to read that until you can remember it. That's traditionally the way people suggest doing it. But for people with dyslexia, all that reading and writing can be very, very stressful. And it can put them off and create all sorts of emotional problems where they just feel inadequate and have become, feel they're a failure. But public speaking doesn't have to be done like that. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't do public speaking like that. When I've asked them and explored this, it turns out a lot of people do public speaking in a similar route to the way I do it.
Okay.
And that's to use visual imaging. So let's just imagine, for example, that you've been involved in a car accident. Yeah?
Okay.
Now, have you ever been involved in a car accident, Wayne?
I can't say that I have personally, no.
You haven't?
No.
Have you ever been involved in a push bike accident?
Too many to remember. Too many to remember.
But the most severe incident of you have fallen off a push bike and hurting yourself probably sticks in your mind. You probably remember the details. You probably remember the colour of the bike. Yeah? And that's because we recall and remember things in pictures. The things that happen to us in our lives have been formed into pictures in our mind, and we find that easy to recall and then talk about. And we can talk about it in immense detail. But let's just imagine that we decided to make a small change to that picture. So imagine you're riding a bike and you've got your let's say you're riding a red bicycle down the road. And all of a sudden you look over your shoulder to see who's behind you and you fall off. Pick your bike up and ride on. Now, if I asked you to describe that, you probably wouldn't have any trouble recounting that story because you've got a visual image of that brief moment in your head. But let's just imagine we wanted to change that picture. So imagine you're now riding your bike and you look over your shoulder to see what's behind you and you see a great big pink elephant on a push bike. And you've taken it back, you fall off your bike, you look and as you look across, this pink elephant goes flying past you as if you're standing still. You pick your bike up and you give chase to that pink elephant. Now, you've still got a visual image in your head, and you could probably recount that story in either the original version or the version with the pink elephant. But that's the thing when we're doing public speaking. If we were to write a script and then insert a change to the script, we have to reread and rememorize the whole script. But if we're using visual images, then we just have to change the picture. And by changing the picture, we can tell a slightly different story. And this is where people with dyslexia have an immense advantage, because just about the vast majority, if not all, of people with dyslexia use visual imaging. And so do so many other people other than people with dyslexia. So this is why I started the group up, so that I could help them to use visual strategies and techniques in their public speaking, as opposed to the idea of a read, write, remember it by rote technique.
Yeah, I know from doing from school and from uni and stuff, doing presentations, that when you write it all down, you get everything. It's well, for me it's annoying, because when I read, like for example, when I read storybooks, I find it very hard to visualize like the main characters and stuff like that. So I'll read a chapter and then I'll get into the next chapter, and that's it. I've completely forgotten everything that like my imagination has tried to create. So
Yeah,
like for me, that's incredibly hard to do. So I tend to, if I'm gonna, I tend to stay away from storybooks unless it's an audio book, really. So then it doesn't take, well, how would you say, it doesn't take up as much processing. So if someone's doing it, someone's reading it to me, that means I can spare more energy to creating that picture, rather than me reading it and then trying to strain my brain to create it at the same time.
yes, yeah.
And so then when I went to uni, and then so that's how we met. And then you read the, what'd you call it, the write up of the review for my for my presentation. And then for that one, basically I did it just basically how you kind of said. Like, I got the pictures, and then I sort of made like bullet points of where I wanted to go. So I as an audio cue, or not an audio, a visual cue. So basically,
Yes.
it brings up a person of, say, I don't know, Grandmaster Flash, and you're like, yeah, why have I got Grandmaster Flash? It's like, oh yeah, okay, right. He wrote the message. He wrote White Lines, and they were the very first sort of conscious music in hip hop. And so it kind of like, you see the name, and then it kind of spurs that thing, and you'll look at your little bullet point, and then it's like, oh yeah, right, that's it, rather than having to memorize a thing. Because I know that if I, like for example, if you know, when you write a best man speech and you got to write it, or like, there's a certain structure to it, kind of thing. I mean, I've only done one. I don't plan on doing a lot more. But when you do a best man speech, and then you write sort of, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the wedding of Mr. A and Miss B, and then you basically write down how you met Mr. A, or no, sorry, how doesn't Miss B look beautiful in her dress? What an amazing day. And then you go on to kind of say how you met, and then you throw in a cheeky joke, another subject, cheeky joke. Like, there's a structure to it, but you know that when you get up in front of his family, her family, your friends, their friends, everyone else's friends, and then like, well, for me, if I was any more nervous, my leg would have drilled a hole in the floor. Like, just from my leg shaking with nerves, I'd have made a hole in that floor. And and then having to read it, and sort of plus when you read, your head's more down. Okay, it takes away the thing of eye contact, so it makes you less nervous, but you know you've got to look up to engage that point. Otherwise, you're just like, yeah, Mr. A, Mrs. B, that sort of thing. But you know that if you're going to tell a cheeky joke, I've got to look at you for that joke in order to deliver that joke to you. And like that's where it hits, like it gets to me, basically.
Yeah, well, if I can just pick up on what you're saying there about a best man speech, well, traditionally that's the way a lot of people think they need to go about writing this best man speech with, hello, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming, welcome, blah, blah. And when you start a speech like that, how many people do you think are listening to the words that you're saying?
Do you know what? I don't even think I was listening to the words I was saying. I think I was just reading it and not listening.
But let's imagine, right, you get up to do your best man speech and say, hey, am I the only one who thinks Wayne's punching above his weight here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one's the best opener? Hello,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming. Blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you do the speech, you've got 2 or 3 seconds to grab their attention, and something like that is a way that you can just capture their attention straight away. Because what's going to happen? All his mates going to laugh and yeah and cheer and too right, he's punching above his weight. You know? So yeah, you've got to capture their attention fast. Whatever your presentation is, whatever your speech is, whether it's for university, for business, or best man, whatever. Grab them immediately and make them smile if you can.
Yeah. I think I told you this before, because I know I read it somewhere. But you've basically, well, as you just said, you got like 3 to 4 seconds to make your first impression, like an elevator speech, basically.
Yeah.
You got those three to, if you're going from floor 1 to floor 2, like, that's not big, so you've got to, as you say, you've got to say a statement that's catching within those 5 seconds it takes to go from floor 1 to floor 2.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and and I remember you saying as well about that. Like when we first met, you were saying, what was it? Yeah, you do it so. Well, you were coming from your public speaking way, so you were saying that you come out and say a statement, and so instead of "Hello, ladies and gentlemen," like we just discussed, you'd come out and you'd say a statement to bring everyone in, because of everyone being on their phones and so forth. So you've got a crowd of 100 people, say, but you've only got maybe 25, like 50 to 75 people. Well, 50 people there, 75 people kind of there, or sorry, 25 people then kind of there, and then you've got another 25 people that are just on your phone, or just on their phone, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. When you give any speech or presentation, the vast majority of the people are sitting there waiting for you to start, and they're scribbling in their paper, they're texting on their phone. And the first thing you've got to do is get everyone off of their devices or whatever they're on, and pay attention to you and look at you. So if you start off with a boring introduction, there's no reason for them to look up and pay attention to you. Whereas if you were to say something really profound and important, then they pay attention. And the best way to get that across is in the form of a question. So you could ask a question, a straight question, like, would you like to hear some great hip hop music?
Yeah.
Another way you could do it would be, if you want to listen to some great music, then you're in the right place. Are you ready? And the guy that's sitting there still on his phone, if that hasn't attracted their attention, some of them will be still sitting on their phone. All you have to do is then look at the person that's on their phone. And this is the hardest bit. The hardest bit to do, and the most effective bit, is shut your mouth and stare at the person who's still not looked up on their phone. And one of two things will happen. Either the person beside them will nudge them, and they'll look up, and you can ask that question again, or they'll realise that the room's gone quiet, nothing's happening, and there's total silence, and they'll realise that everyone's looking at them, and they'll look up, put their phone down, and you can then throw that question out again. But yeah, that's a question, and a question in a if-then format, and with a closed, are you ready? So they can only answer yeah, because they're not going to say, no, I'm not ready. That's a real clincher.
Yeah, definitely. I know that through lectures and stuff, when guests come in, you're what's the like skeptical. You're sort of skeptical that what is this kind of person going to bring me? Are they is this just kind of going to be a little bit I don't know if nonsensical is a word. If a bit nonsense. Like, is this a bit is this really relevant or something like that? So I know that what you say, the first thing they say sort of does count quite a bit to whether or not I know they're going to get my attention, because I have a very short attention span. So I know that if you can kind of come out with something and get me interested in that first bit, I'll probably be with you most of the way. But because I've got a very short attention span, that's like I'm anyone's basically. I hear a noise in the back, that's it. I'm like, like what's that? Or I tend to trail off. But I know if you can give me something to kind of think about, or depending on the mood, maybe sometimes challenge me. Like sometimes a challenge is a good way to get me, because sometimes you'll annoy me, and then it'll be like, right, okay, he's annoyed me because he's challenged something that I believe or I feel. So then you've kind of got to then think about what it is that you're challenging me about, and why I find it so challenging, and then that's like that'll keep me as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I know sometimes I like depending on my mood and sort of thing. Sometimes I like to be kind of challenged in a presentation, which I know. For example, when I first started uni, we did the roots of music. So it basically took you back to like how reggae started, how rock started, everything like that. And you're like, oh, well, I don't know if I really need to know why that started. That's not really relevant to my sort of genre of music. But then you find that through all of these things, they are very relevant. They are, in one way, they are what connects all music together. And you're like, oh, hang on, like this bit blew my mind, and oh, I didn't know about this. And then it's that sort of thing that brings you in. Well, I know it brought me in. I don't know about the rest of my class, but I found it a very informative lesson. And the fact that our teacher, well, you could definitely tell he enjoyed it, but the fact that as well he was more open with it. Like he wasn't telling you, he was asking you in a way, so that he'd say something, but then he was expecting you to challenge him, and then that like opened up the discussion. So it's like, okay, why do you think so and so managed to sell this many records or whatever? And then you give your advice, and then he'll be like, yeah, I can see that point. Someone will say something else, and then it opens up that discussion, and a bit like his question is an icebreaker sort of thing. So he's broken the ice to you, and now all you've got to do is just basically come out and be like, yeah. And then because there's no right or wrong answer, you don't feel like you've made a tit of yourself, basically. Like if you were in class, you'd be like, what's, I don't know, like 2 and 2, I don't know, 3. And then be like, no, that's wrong. And then you're like, oh god, I can't. But then he'll be like, okay, it's 3. Like what makes it 3? And you're like, okay. Now, what makes it 3 is this. All right, we know it's 4, but he said like he's not gonna shun you about it. He's gonna explore how you came up with that. And I found that one of the many interesting things about that lesson was that you could tell he was passionate, and you could tell that he was willing to have his beliefs challenged as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And that was one thing I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hang on. Definitely. So so what made you start up the Rise of the Dyslexic Speaker? What was the moment that you decided this is what I want to do?
Well, it was. I just wanted to. I suppose, change people's beliefs about themselves. I wanted to make them more confident. So, you've joined us on the live chat that we do on a Sunday evening one. And so you know that you know about Tim,
Yep.
you know, and in fact you labelled him Tim. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's transformation through inspiration and motivation. So the whole crux of the group and the meetings is that we will help people to transform themselves by inspiring them to become something they don't believe they can become, and then motivate them to take action, which ultimately results in the transformation. Far too many times I see people putting messages out there saying, have you know, I can't do this. Why can't I do this? Can you not do this like I can't do it? Is it just me that can't do this? And it's all very negative. It's all very much, I'm not good enough. Who else is not good enough? And I think it's a very negative, bad approach to take. And I think if we can look at it and instead and say, okay, maybe I can't do this, but other people can. So maybe with the right motivation, I can do this. Now, maybe you could inspire me to take that action, to learn to do it, or to drive myself to achieve that goal that I don't think I can do. So yeah, we're very much. I'm not interested in the I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm into the I can achieve what I want. And I love, my favourite saying is Henry Ford. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. And I think we should all take that as as an opportunity to excel and achieve things.
Yeah, definitely. I know through through Facebook they do these thing called memories, and then you basically go back over statuses and stuff that you've written, like down the line. And as you said, people were quite negative, and I will admit I still have those moments, but not as much as I used to. I think that was probably more because of like my depression and stuff and what other resulting influences. But I was a very negative person like that. Like, oh, if I can't do it once, there's no way I'm gonna do it a second time, sort of thing. And or sometimes I'll look at someone do something and think, nope, I'm not even going to attempt it because I don't know the first thing, or I just really can't be bothered. And then I'd post a clickbait kind of status to be like, oh, someone come feel sorry for me, and then it proves I'm not alone, and then we can throw this massive pity party, and then it's like, oh yeah, cool. So, but now, so going through like therapy and stuff like that, it's helped me manage those feelings, especially CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy. That was a massive one for me. And so like with that, it was like, right, you've got a situation. So for example, me being bullied at school. So what is it that I got bullied for? And I'd say, okay, they bullied me for this. And then the guy would say, right, now take that, like, as if you could pause time, sort of thing. So go back to that exact moment, picture it, imagine it, like breathe it in if you can. Just go back to that exact moment and pause time. And then sort of step out of yourself. So you're then looking on at the situation and you think, right, like, what if this wasn't you and you were the onlooker, what would you do? Or what do you think are the other factors that are playing? Like, what are these bullies bullying you because they like it, or are they bullying you because of some other reason that may cause them to bully you? And it was like, wow, okay, I hadn't really thought of it like that. Another one as well, just to get really personal with you, because would be my dad. So my dad was always like quite hard on us, and for years we didn't get on, and even when he died, I still kind of resented him. I mean, it's taken me 10 years to get to an understanding. Like that's how long. But now that I've come to that understanding, and I mean, my dad was born in what 1952, something like that. Like pretty much just after the war. Like everyone's rebuilding everything. So it's like, okay, now take yourself back to when you were younger and your teenage rebellions, and think, what is it that made you rebel? Why was it like that? And then pause, and then again come out of yourself and think, okay, now think about it. I was born in 1987, yeah, and then so my upbringing going through the 90s into the thousands was totally different from my dad coming up through 50s, 60s, 70s. Like there wasn't even a car, or there was probably just about a car, but you had to be spot on rich to get a car back then. And like so my dad's thing was more, get your education, get a job. I haven't got a job, need a job. Like you constantly gotta do that. Whereas I was born as like, okay, right, go to school. But now, there's more opportunity for me, and especially now coming through into the 2000s, where there's we're in 2020 now, and there's so much. There's just so much to do, so much choice. It's like being at one like Wagamama's or something. There's so much food on selection, you don't know what to eat because you don't know how full you're gonna get. And and then so to do that, to be able to think, okay, right, my dad was born just after the war, so they had rations. They were very strict. And then what sort of thing influenced his parents' life? Like, I mean, my nan and granddad, my nan was a nurse, and my granddad worked on watchtowers, and he was a chef on a ship. So like that was their adult life. Fit like, mate, to think about what that was like blows my mind. Like the things they must have seen, heard. Oh God, it gives me the creeps thinking about it. But it's to go back and take yourself out of that. So to bring my rambling back to my point, to bring yourself out of that and to get it into a perspective. So then I look at those statuses from, I don't know, say 2009 or something like that, and then I think, oh my God, like that's, now when I read, I'm like, oh man, that's embarrassing. That's really embarrassing. I can't believe I posted that. And then so then to do the CBT thing, and then to go into college, to go to uni, and then also to then meet you, to then go into the Sunday groups that we do. Like it has been very beneficial to me, and a lot of people have said that it's played quite a part on me. So from when I went to uni, I was really, I am a shy person, but I didn't want to talk to anyone. I kind of just didn't want to be there. My head was always on a swivel, as if like a submarine periscope, constantly looking for enemies, constantly. Until now, where it's more like, and if you'd have told me that I'd be doing this with you a year ago, I'd have probably told you to jog on. Like, no way I'd have believed you. No way. But yet, here I am through the help of my uni teachers, like yourself as well. And now I'm talking to you when we're online. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's that sort of thing, changing the way you are, if any of that made sense. If any of that made sense.
No, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, I've watched you grow from where you were to where you are now. It's just, I'm impressed.
Thank you.
I've told you this before. I am impressed, and yeah, and it makes me feel good that possibly in some small way I've helped contribute. But that's what life's about. Life isn't about you. Life is about other people and helping other people, and you get far more joy and fulfillment out of helping someone else achieve something than achieving it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I just love seeing what you've done, Craig. I mean, Craig's recovery from
Oh
his
my
stroke
God, that was crazy.
phenomenal. And it's just, those sort of things. You just see other people growing and becoming better, and better people all the time. It's just, I mean, that's why I love coaching. So I just love coaching people and
definitely
helping them.
Yeah. Definitely. Also, when I used to, so yeah, also touching back on what I was to talk about. So in 2010, when my dad did die, I got, like, my dad died. I got sacked from my job. Everything. I was rock bottom. In fact, I was probably borderline suicide. But so anyway, I did a course with the Prince's Trust, and that helped me quite a bit. But then the teacher was like, "Look, don't worry about going to do another going to find a job straight away. I want you to come and volunteer with us." And the guy that was teaching our course wasn't one that you had to really earn his trust, or there had to be something about you that he would put your name forward. And I was one of a fortunate few that he actually said, "Look, there's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something, and I want him to volunteer with us in order to try and bring that out of him." And so I was given the very fortunate chance of going to the Mitcham team base and volunteering with them, where I volunteered for 2 teams. And to see someone come from basically rock bottom and thinking, "Oh, I don't know why I'm bothering," to then doing little trips up to like the Peak District and doing wall climbing and abseiling, stuff like that. And you see them just then kind of start to come out, and you get that little inkling of, okay, I kind of know what you're about now. You've kind of let your guard down a little bit for me to see it. And then you talk about interests, and they go and do work experience, and it's like, "Look, what interests you?" And they're like, "I don't know, this interests me." "Okay, that interests you, but what do you think you'll be doing?" "Oh, I'll probably just end up in a shop or something." It's like, right, okay, this work experience, you're going to pursue every interest you have. So their work experience was 3 weeks, so they could spend either 3 weeks, I don't know, being a mechanic, or they could spend 3 weeks doing 3 different things, whatever interests they had, really. And then after that, you go into week 9, and that was about writing your CV, applying for unis if that's what you wanted to do, or getting better in interview tactics, stuff like that. And then the last couple of weeks was just basically just trying to build you up a little bit more, get you excited, work on your skills, and then hopefully many of them did. Many of them did go to college, to uni, and stuff like that. And there are still days that I get messages like that. So, for example, I don't know if I told you. I might have told you this the other day when we spoke, but there was a guy named George on the second team, and we used to call him the Grouch, because he was quite a grumpy character. He reminded me of Grouch from Sesame Street, but he was an absolute legend. And so I used to play music on my iPod every day. In fact, I was like, "Look, no one is playing music because I'm in charge." And then he messaged me, like, he then went on to college to do, I can't remember what he went on to college to do. It was that long ago, but I know he then went on to college, and he's done other good things. And now, I got a message from him out the blue, like the other week, saying, "Thank you for all the music that you made us suffer, because it's impacted the way that he writes songs, and he now works in a studio with his friend, making music and writing music." So my influence of him listening to my music has now put him on a course to go and do music, to write music, to make music. And then and other people now have gone, some are like some are out there doing real estate, like shifting units, and some have been to university, and they're just doing whatever they want. And it's the like you say, it's that little bit. It's just, even though, like, so for example, team one, my first team, it was hell because I was trying not to be their friend, but I couldn't help myself to be their friend. So even though I was like the assistant teacher, I also kind of wanted to be their mate at the same time. And so that was a tough team. So that was a very tough ride. And they gave me a tough time. I won't lie. They gave me a tough time. But right at the end in week 12, when they do their final presentation, and even though they've been, like, excuse my French, but they've been right little bastards, and they come up to you and they go, "Hey Wayne, thanks man," and they shake your hand, or they'll shake your hand to bring you in for the little cuddle with the pat on the back, and you're just like, "Do you know what, man? Like, look, whatever we've done for 12 weeks, don't worry about it. You're welcome." Like, so yeah, that's what it is. It's that 12 weeks you may have been a like pain in my bum, but do you know what? I know you're good at, like, I know you're set for either college or uni, or you have an idea of where you're gonna go. And yeah, it's well, in some ways it's enough to kind of make you cry, because you know that in some small way you're a factor of that story. You're a small chapter in a big book. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, although some people say, "Oh, well, like, you help one person, it's all you need," but for me, whether you help one person or you help 100 people, there's I don't think you can ever explain that feeling properly that you get from knowing that you've, in a way, helped someone somehow going to do what they want to do. And yeah, it's a crazy feeling. It really is a crazy. In some ways, I'd say it's kind of addictive to, like, it's that, like, an adrenaline rush sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is. It can be addictive. It definitely can be. You know, it's that just as you say, small changes. You could say the smallest thing, the simplest little thing, you can have so much impact on someone else.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's for me. I feel like that. It's almost like I'm searching for people that I can help out. You know, so yeah, thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah. Because well, I mean, I've told you this before, but some random review that I gave in one of my podcasts ended up saving a guy's life. So, like you say,
Yeah.
what this, and I mean, I didn't even really know the guy. I was just listening to listening to a music that he'd sent in to review, and gave it my opinion. And boom, there you go. Like, that's the impact that my my like minute review had on that guy's life. So in 60 seconds, I'd managed to turn around that person's process, and now we speak probably once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on how busy he is. So yeah.
Well, you've been. I mean, you've been like myself. You've been in that bad place where you needed the help of someone else, and I think quite often someone will help us and help transform us, and we'll look back and we'll be grateful for what they've done. But sometimes we have in the back of our mind, yeah, but why would they do that for me? Why would they bother doing that for me? And then it's when you do it for someone else, you suddenly realise that's why they did it for me, because you also get so much out of it for being the giver as well as being the recipient. So as a recipient, you're grateful, but then the giver of the help is the one that's as equally as grateful, because it brings them as much joy as it's brought you, or as much comfort, or even as much help in their journey. So I think that's why we do it.
Yeah, I also when I help people, I enjoy the journey of it. So okay, there might be things that I know about, but there's other things I don't know about, and then that's the testing part for me, is the kind of finding out about this situation that I haven't necessarily been in, and then trying to find out how. It's like a puzzle, isn't it? You're searching for the bits, and then you got to put it all together. And for me, sometimes I think that's probably also why I do it as well, is because I love to find all these little bits, and I like to connect them all and be like, okay, that's where all these pieces lead to. This is my end result. And to watch people put their puzzles together, not necessarily all through your input, but just knowing that you're there if they need you, and to watch them go on that journey, and you're also taking that journey and learning about certain things. So as you say, you're the recipient, but like, because you're also learning about a situation as well, that okay, hopefully you may not be in, depending on the situation, but you're also learning that knowledge. You're gaining an experience somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things I got from it. Oh man.
Yeah, and so this, to expand a bit more on your earlier question, there was why the rise of the dyslexic speaker. Another thing there was another moment that inspired me.
Yeah.
To build a group and start it. I was given a charity talk on how to overcome fear, and in the audience, I was used to speaking to adults, but in the audience this time there was quite a few young children with dyslexia, almost emotionally scarred because they felt they were different and didn't want to be different. Because when you're a child, you want to be the same as everyone else. You don't want to stand out as being the person that's different, and that creates
don't want to be the oddball.
No, that's right. That creates the fear. After I gave my talk, there was young children were coming up to me saying, "When I grow up, I want to be just like you. I want to be a public speaker." And I thought, and it just felt really great. I thought, wow, really, this, I had an impact on people, really helping people here. And parents were coming up to me and saying, "Oh my God, what you're saying about overcoming fear is just so true about overcoming so many other of your problems within your life." And so that sort of drove me to really do what I'm doing. I just feel that if anyone wants to come along, if anyone's got any worries or concerns about their being dyslexic and feel because of that, or even not even dyslexia, but if they've got other concerns, but if they just feel inadequate, it's a place where they can come, where they can feel inspired and motivated. That's why I do it. That's why I'm there.
I think no one, when you grow up and everything's so structured that you don't want to go out of the structure. It's like what Reg says. It's not until you become an adult that you actually kind of start to spread your wings, because you're just there. Like, it's as if like you're a bird and someone's just holding you, and you don't don't quite get chance to spread your wings like you might. And it's not until you leave that structured environment that you slowly start to spread your wings. Like learning to swim. You first of all you've got to get your toe, like, it sounds stupid, but first of all you got to get your toes wet before you get into the water to even learn, like, how to do a backstroke or what, like, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely. And even so I got into doing music about 2008, and from 2008 even up until till last year, I was still very on the fence about it. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know about this, and I didn't feel I was good enough to, in a way, find my full potential, because I didn't want. I was scared, or sorry, sometimes I still am, but as I say, I've got to control it. But I was scared that if I mess up, people, like, it's the people that will laugh at you, and that I think alone was also one of the biggest factors to not going to uni earlier, and not actually defining to myself, like, look, you can write songs, and you can make music, and you can do this. It was like, oh, I don't know if I can. And so you're always constantly putting that doubt into your mind. You're not affirming what you can do, you're doubting what you can do. And that was my biggest thing growing up. I was more of a doubter than a doer. And then it wasn't until my friend turned around and he was like, well, what are you kind of scared of? And you're like, well, I don't. Yeah, and failure. I don't want to fail, because people will laugh at me if I fail. And it's like, well, what is failure? And it's like, hang on, what is failure? Like, yeah, it's like you've only failed if you've stopped. Like, if you do something and then you decide to stop, then yeah, you failed. But if you do something and you decide to carry on, it was just a test. It's just a stepping stone. Yeah, like little things like that. It's just a little test, see how things go. A trial, if you will. Or I don't know, if you're a sprinter, it's a workout sort of thing. So you're just going on a little train. Say you do the 100 meters, and you go and do 100 meters, and I don't know, like, stumble a little bit. You're like, oh, okay, that was just I'm just training. It doesn't matter. That wasn't the 100 meters at the Olympics. Like, you're just training. And then even then, when I suppose you do get to the Olympics, you'll then take your brain back to training and just think, oh, I'm gonna run it like I do in training, because that's when you're calmest. That's when you're happiest. Is when you're training. So you haven't got the pressure of thousands of eyes watching you, because you take that's what's gonna make you think you failed it. But then you go back to training, and you're like, right, I've run this empty court. Oh, I've lost count how many times I've run this empty up and down this track doing 100 meters. And yeah, and that's basically how I see it now, is that because I was one of those people, if I like something, I'd never walk before. Like, I was never one of those. I was never a walk into it person. I'd always run into everything, and sort of like leave a trail behind me. And so that if I ran into it and I got to a point where I didn't like it, I could then just follow the trail straight out and go in to do something else. So I never took the time to walk and take in my surroundings. So for like Virginia Waters, because I was there the other day. I never really took the thing to walk around and be like, oh yeah, look how nice this lake is, or look how, like, beautiful the trees are, the way the sun feels on you and stuff like that. I was never one of them. So it's only now that, since talking to my friend about what is failure, you know, okay, failure is this. So it's like, right, this is a trial. So now when I try and start things, I think of it as if I've just entered Virginia Waters. Right, I've just got through the car park. I'm in the main gate. Here's my surroundings. Let's breathe in the air. Let's take in the feel of the weather. stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I see it. And so now all I know is I've either got to go right or I go left. But either way, I'm still gonna end up wherever I want to be. Like I'm just gonna enjoy my walk around the lake.
Yeah, yeah. But so I have a I have a belief that it's not actually the fear of failure
Mm.
that you're afraid of, because let's take this podcast for example.
Yeah.
I remember when you were talking about it before, before you started it. I remember you saying about about starting it up, and yeah, you had a fear and you had concerns, and it wasn't a fear of doing a podcast. It wasn't a fear of starting a podcast and it not working.
Mm.
It was a fear of being judged. It was a fear of other people. How would you feel? Other people saying, "Yeah, well, Wayne started the podcast, didn't work, or he tried it, dabbled his feet in there, it didn't work." You just believe people are going to judge you.
Yeah.
And those people that you think are going to judge you are people that have not even done it themselves. And they won't judge you. If anything, they'll, anyone that has done it themselves will take the hat off to you and say, "Well done," because they know the journey you've been through and overcome those fears. It's the ones that have never tried it are the ones that that you're fearful of being judged by.
Yeah.
And our fears. If let's imagine there's a river,
Okay.
and it's a small stream, yeah, and you think, "I might be able to jump there."
Mm.
I might not. I might not.
Yeah.
I might. And now you're in the middle of a field and there's no one else around. You want to get to the other side, but you've suddenly got that bit of a challenge inside you. Think, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it, because if I don't do it and I land flat in the middle of the stream, flat on my face, who's going to see? No one. Let's do it." And you do it because you've got no fear of being judged. But now, if there's 200 people either side of the stream, and you look at it and think, "Yeah, I might fall. I might better do it. I might not. I might not.
Yeah.
Or I could fall flat on my face in front of 200 people." No, I'll go the long way around and take a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because you don't want to be judged and seen by other people. So
Yeah.
to overcome your fears, you put it in perspective. Who's going to judge you? It's quite often it's our own. It's that little voice inside our head, our own little voice convincing us that we're scared. Because there's two types of fear. There's two types of fear.
Yeah.
There's that fear as you're walking through the woods, and up ahead you think there's something in the bushes.
Yeah.
Close to you, and you get closer, but you've got to go. Can't turn around and go the other way. You've got to get home.
Yeah. The only
So
way.
carry on walking, and you're scared, and and that adrenaline starts pumping, and then right at the last minute, just as you get in beside the bush, whoo, something jumps out in front of you. Yeah, that's fear. Yeah, that's it. But that's nothing like the fear of doing something you've never done before, of overcoming that belief, that fear of failure. Yeah, that's totally different, and that's just down to what's going on inside your head, and what's going inside your head is your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And your thoughts inside your head can be changed.
Yeah.
You can change your thoughts. You are the one person and the only person on this planet that can change your thoughts in your head. And you can change your thoughts in your head at the drop of a hat just by thinking something different. Yeah? If you want to change your thoughts to overcome your fears of failure, then you can do that, and you're the only one that can do that.
Definitely. Also, it's where you said about it's our own insecurities. It also reminds me of the of the saying when you're pointing and laughing at something. So you're pointing and there's one finger pointing at you, but then you've also got the other three pointing it back, and the other three that you've got turned back are the insecurities that you found in that one person.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely think that, and yeah, that you saying that is what that reminded me of. So when you laugh at something, or you point and laugh at someone, it's actually something deep inside yourself that you're laughing at them for, rather than the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally see that. Oh, there was something else you said in that as well. I was gonna say, and I've completely forgotten. Completely forgotten. Oh, that's annoying. That's annoying. What was it? Oh, I can't remember. It'll probably come to me. It'll probably come to me in a little bit. It'll probably come to me in a little bit. But yeah, it's those little things. Those little things is the trial and error. Oh, mate, it was such a point. It was such a good point as well that you said, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. But I was too busy trying to remember the pointing quote. Ah, that's annoying. That's annoying. Anyway, yeah, it will come to me, and I'll pick it up later on. But yeah. So when we first met as well, and you've said occasionally in the groups that you don't like the word dyslexia. So I was wondering if you could tell us more about why you don't like the word dyslexia, if you could.
Yeah, I think it's the word. I mean, you hear it a lot with, not so much my generation. I'm not a young fella like yourself, but your generation, you hear a lot of people use the word "dis" and don't diss me. And it's a negative word. The word sounds negative. It's got negative connotations, and it's based around disability. A lack of, an inability to do something. So rather than saying, yeah, you're good at something, you're labeling someone with a label that says, you lack the skills to do this. You can't do that. So because you've used that word disability, an inability to do something, how do you think they feel? They feel less than because you've already labeled them as less than. So they're not going to feel motivated or inspired to push themselves. Automatically, they're going to feel the complete opposite. Yeah. So I don't like the word a disability. I think it's a different ability, or even an enhanced ability, because it's been proven that everyone have different ways of doing things, and regardless of what you think you can't do, there are skills that you have and that everyone has. Everyone has skills that other people can't do. Yeah? So you have an enhanced ability somewhere else. Yeah. And if we're not good at something, if we don't like something, how much effort do we put into becoming even better at it?
No, well, personally, none normally.
No, you don't. You think, well, okay, I don't like doing it. I'm rubbish at doing it. I'm not going to bother. I won't put any time or effort into it. If it's something you're good at, something you enjoy, something that you're passionate about, how much effort do you put into that?
Man, you're good, mate. So much effort that you start cancelling things. So much effort that you start making time for it.
Yeah, and you suddenly become seen as the expert. Yeah, so you go to school and people are, telling you you've got to learn to read. You've got to learn to read, and then they label you as someone who can't read. You have a disability. You've got a lack. So what we're going to do is we're going to use special techniques to help you so that you can read. And you're thinking, yeah, but that's not what I love doing. What I love doing is something else, like making music. Yeah, it's so if you channel their passion into what they really enjoy doing, that that person can become far better at doing that, as opposed to not focusing on that and spending more time on what they're not good at.
Mm.
So yes, I don't like the term disability. I would like it to be labelled as something more motivating than something that basically puts people down.
I mean, when you say about the enhancing and stuff, you call it like a superpower.
Yes, yeah. So a lot of people, there's often this term bandied around within the dyslexic community that certain people in the community have, but some people have a superpower, and I think that's not so great in as much as it conjures up these images of a bloke in a cape flying through the air. You know, well, none of us can do that. You know, it's impossible. We can't do that. So it doesn't matter how much you want to have a superpower. You're never going to be someone with a cape flying through the air, or some incredibly strong bloke picking a hammer up that no one else on the planet can pick up. You know, that's not the idea of a superpower. A superpower is just something that not only are you good at, but you're much better than other people at. Yeah. So you're not the only person on the planet that can do it, but you can do it, and you can do it very, very well. And we talk about on the show we talk about people's superpowers. And Reg, we spoke about his a number of times.
Yeah.
He's one of the guests that joins us. And Reg has his incredible 3D technique where he can visualize through things. He knows what's on, because he's been there before and he's seen what's on the other side, or he's seen a drawing of what's on the other side. He knows what's there, so he can visualize it and imagine heat transferring and dissipating through all these things. And he's a guy that was with he says himself that he had a poor education, but he's an engineer on a nuclear submarine. So he's done incredibly well for himself.
Definitely. And
that's a superpower, and we've all got that ability. And even public speaking can be a superpower, in as much as you could be better at it than someone else. Yeah? Your music can be a superpower because you're better at it than someone else. And someone out there is not as good as you at it. Whatever it is, they're not as good as you at something. And they want to know what it is that you do and how you could show them or do it for them. And that's where it becomes a superpower, because it's just that special skill, that unique special skill that you have. And I believe the world is changing it dramatically in a direction that will empower the visual learner, the dyslexic learner. So traditionally, a lot of our learning has been from books, reading books. And I've seen students be given a 350-page close-typed book about public speaking and expected to read it with dyslexia, and got 3 pages into it and said, I can't read it, and given up, and decided that's it, I'll never be a public speaker because I can't read through a book telling me how to do it. But now we're moving in an environment where we're internet based, and we're becoming more visual with our learning.
Yeah,
YouTube's a perfect example.
Definitely,
you can get on YouTube and learn anything you want. Yeah? and it's going beyond that now. So if we look to the future and the way things are going, in my opinion, one of the best places to look is science fiction movies.
Yep.
So if we go back to the 1960s, there was a sci-fi program that massively influenced our world that we live in now. That was Star Trek.
Yeah.
Star Trek gave us the flip phone. Yeah? Star Trek gave us a piece of software that I know you've used called Dragon, where you speak and the computer types. And a couple of computer geeks saw that and thought that would be great. And they wrote a program where you could speak to it and it types for you.
Definitely.
And now you've got Microsoft and Apple Mac, and they're all playing catch up now, trying to develop their own versions of this software. Star Trek gave us the big flat screen. Remember, standing on the bridge of the ship,
Yeah, and see it.
they look at a giant screen, and on that screen, they were talking across the internet, across space.
Well,
like
Star Trek gave us Zoom, gave us Skype.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now, if you look at the latest crop of science fiction movies, that technology is being moved on, and it's almost like an invisible screen will just appear in front of you, and it will be covered with lots of information. And a lot of this, it's easy just to look at it and say, yeah, that's the way we're going to develop into this screen that magically appears and we can move things around.
Yeah.
If we look really, really closely at the screen, what we see is the content on the screen isn't word-based. It's graphic and visual-based. And people are moving things and objects and moving them around. And this is the way I think the world is going to go. And a graphic and visual-based world is a world that will dramatically allow the dyslexic learner to have an advantage. It will be their world, and they will be looking at the people who can't do it and saying, why can't you do this? So what will be the negative connotation of the word that they will create, like dyslexic, for those people who can't do what they can do? Yeah? And that's all it is. It's the majority, or the people that have the power or the authority at the time, feel, well, we can do it, why can't you? So we're going to label you as someone who can't do what we're doing. Right? So, if so, at some point, as the world changes, will there then be a word for the people that cannot think visually like a dyslexic person can? And I hope there isn't. I hope it just is an opportunity for people to realise that, yeah, these guys have
You're right there.
Yeah, you have to cut this out.
Mate, you shit. So it's fine. Some of the I won't tell you some of the things, but wow, you're perfectly fine, mate. You're perfectly fine. But I don't.
It's their opportunity to realise that these people have a superpower. And that could be their superpower.
Yeah. Like saying that, or you saying that, sorry, about the moving around, and it also reminded me of the Matrix, but in a way, now that I've been sitting here thinking about it, listening to you explain, I guess the Matrix would kind of be like the structure that we have now. So it's like, right, you got to read and write this. So the Matrix, where in the Matrix 1, Keanu Reeves says, "Oh, I know kung fu," and then Lawrence Fishburne turns around and he's like, "Prove it." So in a weird way, now looking at it, the Matrix would be the sort of the structure that everyone wants. So it's like, right, Trevor, lay down. I'm gonna stick education in the back of your head, like that. Yeah, I plug you into my system, and that's what you're gonna do. But yeah, and then so that's that. But then you saying like what is it? I think so science fiction movies where they have like the hologram come out of like a thing on like their watch, or for example, it, like it's sort of move it around. Like I think for some reason I think of the Minority Report with Tom Cruise, and they can basically somehow see like a murder or some sort of crime before it can happen, and yeah, again, he's like okay, I've got this bit, I've got this bit. It's very move around and like puzzly type, and
Mm.
yeah, hearing you talk about that, but all I could think about was Minority Report. Like I'm sure there's loads of other examples and stuff of it, but all I could think about was Minority Report and like moving around and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So I've got to admit, I've got a sore throat. I'm not going to be able to talk for much longer.
That's all right.
Because I've been, so I've had 3 shoots today, so I've been talking for 6 hours, and I've still not got over this coronavirus. It's I'm still undergoing tests to find out why I've had a sore throat for 5 months now.
Oh man, well, to be honest, I think I know why I keep grunting. I think it's my poor diet, but I've had the grunts and a cough for like years,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it's down to my diet. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so I'll try and do most of the talking because there's a few things I've thought about that I'd like to kind of tell you. So, oh man, all right, I got to remember these. So going back to what we were talking about before we spoke about sci-fi and everything and superpowers and the how to change, yeah, where we were talking about how you can change your mind like literally within a click of a finger.
yeah.
So one way that helped me change my mind that one of my tutors brought up was to keep a diary.
Hmm.
So you keep a diary of the good and you keep a diary of the bad, but you can, and then you'll think, well, that's pretty pointless. Why would I keep a diary? Like that's a bit weird. But now, like here I am, 20 weeks into being live, doing live music and podcasts, stuff like that, and you see the positivity or the positive steps that you've made, and also some of the bad decisions that you've made that you can then look at and think, okay, I made that bad decision, but what can I change about it? So in some ways, it's your bad ideas and then your rough ideas for what you can then progress, and that's how
Yeah,
I find it.
yeah,
So yeah, that's definitely helped me a lot. Also in changing the way that I do things is keeping a record, and also with other things as well. Like you keep the record and you'll say, okay, week week 15, for example, I did this and someone messaged me to say that it benefited them that somehow. So you're like, okay, that's a step that works. Maybe that's something that I can use as content like further down the line, or that's something that I could probably use again somehow some way. But then you've got your like things. It's like, okay, I went live and only I don't know, one person come on, and it's like, okay, that didn't go well. What made that bad? Was it the time that I went on? Did I like not really think about my times? Did I not think about the kind of people I was trying to reach at those times? And stuff like that. So even though it may be a bad result in your thing, it's still a question of, okay, how can I make it better? It's a thing, like kind of a reminder, be like, look, this is something you didn't necessarily think about. I mean, it's something you can think about that you can improve. So
yeah,
for example, if you want to reach mothers, for example, you're not gonna, or like working mums, like the only sort of time you've really got is about seven in the morning or 6 in the morning when they get up and they're having their coffee and their breakfast before they then have to go and wake the kids up to get them ready for school. So that would be your prime time, your prime mum time, or when the kids are gone to bed, like that's prime mum time. Maybe lunchtime or something like that, depending on if like they got like kids go to nursery or they work during the day. But sort of 6 in the morning, 9 at night. That's your, if you're trying to, I don't know, sell some kid stuff and you're trying to reach the mums. That's your sort of time. So it's that
yeah,
sort of thing that your bad points could then teach you. And yeah, that was the point. That was the point that I was trying to remember when I said what was it I wanted to remember. That was that. And yeah, I don't know.
So what you're saying about your diary, that's a great way to find out what your superpower is, what your super skill is. If you keep a diary of every time someone asks you a question, and not the sort of question as, have you put the bins out yet? Yeah, not that sort of question, because that's a bit of a you haven't done something question, but something like how do you mix music? Yeah, something like that. A question that someone has asked you.
Yeah.
But every time someone asks you a question, just write all those questions down. And the other thing that if people say, I wish I could do what you do, yeah, then write that down. And then when you've got that list after 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, you've got this list of all these things people have said to you about asking you questions, how do you do something, or saying to you, I wish I could do what you do. Then put them in categories. So it could be, something, a work category, a personal, a hobby category, something, something like how do you bake a chocolate cake, for example. Yeah. If someone's asking you how to bake a chocolate cake, it's because you can do it and they can't. I wish I could bake a chocolate cake like yours. That's because you can do it and they can't. And that could be your superpower. Yeah. Because you're better at it than everyone else.
Yeah.
So your diary helps you realise what it is by writing it down in a diary or a little notebook every time you get that question or that, I wish I could do what you do type of response. Write it down and you realise that's what you are next seen by other people to be an expert as. That is your superpower.
Yeah. And also you saying that as well, that also then, what was it I got from a course I was doing? There's 6 different types of content that you can give people as well, and you saying like you write down the questions that people are asking you, like how do you make your cake, like how do you make your cake fluffy? And you'd be like, well, my tip for this, and then you could go and like just do a random little video and be like, this is how I make my cakes fluffy, and it's like, oh my god, I didn't think of that, like that sort of thing. So yeah, that's definitely another way to look at it that you just made me think about. Yeah, man. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna let you go because I know your throat's hurting, so I won't make you suffer this anymore. But no, I've enjoyed this. It's been educational. You've definitely made me think on a couple of things, and I hope that this makes other people think on other things. To be honest, and I'm sure it will, and I've definitely enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoyed that.
Certainly hope so. I hope it transformed people by inspiring them and motivating them. Good old Tim.
Yeah, I hope it brings a Tim to everyone. Everyone needs an imaginary friend named Tim.
They do.
All right, mate. Yeah. Yeah. So normally with other people, we've sort of come to this thing about getting together in 6 months and seeing the progress and stuff like that. So is that maybe something you might be interested in as well, coming on in about 6 months, so about February time?
Yeah, I'd love to, mate.
Coming on, catching up.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And when my throat's good, I can talk freely.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go and thank you very much. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Trevor Henderson. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, send me send me over your links and stuff, and then when I post this, I can put your links in the YouTube description, and then hopefully it'll drive people to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries. But yeah, it should like I'm a bit busy this weekend with it, but hopefully this weekend I'm gonna start chopping it up and taking out the little teaser bits, and then next weekend it should be out. But like I'll speak to you by next weekend anyway. So yeah, I'll let you know. But yeah, if you can just send over the bits and pieces that you kind of want. So like your the Rise of the Dyslexic website, stuff like that, and anything else you kind of want pushed, then yeah, do that. And yeah, I know we didn't speak on it, but also the other bit about like how to get another. If you want the other income link put up and stuff like that, I'll do that. I'll do that for you as well.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, mate.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
No worries, mate. No worries. All right. I'll see you soon, mate.
Yeah, you will. I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. All right, mate. Cheers.
All right. See you then.
Bye.